Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have another Start Collecting Warcry video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Daughters of Khaine. So let's look at how we can start this warband. So I do think that the Start Collecting box for Daughters of Khaine is a great way to get into Warcry. Yes, there are a few models that can't be used in Warcry, but I think it's a good box that can not only help us get into Warcry, but gives us a good solid start for Age of Sigmar as well. So I think that's a definite plus for this, allowing you to sort of get into both games at the same time. But Warcry wise, what this does is it gives you the character box, which you're going to need anyway. You've got a ton of models in there. You can build either the Bloodrat Shrine or the Cauldron of Blood. And you get all the different Daughters of Khaine heroes there as well. So you're getting the Slaughter Queen, Hag Queen, and the Bloodrat Medusa. Personally, I think the best way to do this is build a Cauldron of Blood. It's much easier to make those Witch Elves look like they're appearing on the model and just sort of blend them into it with a 25mm base, rather than doing the Bloodrat Medusa and having a 40mm base sitting on something which has got a lot of texture underneath it. So with that, you've got your three characters, and really that's what we want to start with. They all offer something a little bit different. The Bloodrat Medusa is the toughest of them all. She's got 35 wounds, toughness of 4, and she's 3/5, so she packs out some serious damage punch as well. The Hag Queen and Slaughter Queen both have a lot of attacks. They are only 20 wounds and a toughness of 3, so this is something, I guess, that's not quite as... they're nowhere near as potent as that Bloodrat Medusa in combat, but they do offer other things. I think their abilities are maybe a little bit more utility rather than, I guess, the outright damage the Bloodrat Medusa is going to do. So the other box that we get in this is we've got to get a box of Melusi. So Melusi are the snake people. They come in either two variants of Bloodstalkers or Blood Sisters. Both of these are quite different. So what's good about them both? Well, they're both toughness 4 and they're 20 wounds apiece. However, the Blood Sisters have 5 attacks at a range of 2 with their nice little spears. Only strength 3 though, but a damage 1/4, so that's a really big jump to their crit rating there, so really wanting to land those crits. The Bloodstalkers, on the other hand, are a shooting unit, and they have 1/5 for their damage with 2 attacks. An insane crit rating there. Once again, only a strength of 3, and they only have 2 shots, however, but you really start to see there's just some really high crit values across the board here for the Daughters of Khaine, which is really nice. It's something you can play into. I recommend you sort of build maybe a mix of the two different types of snake ladies that you get and try and pick a hero that you think works best. You can also build a Gorgai or a Crone, which are the two leader variants for your snake ladies, but I think you've got other options that are better really with your Slaughter Queen, Hag Queen, and the Bloodrat Medusa. So now let's go have a look and we'll start seeing how we can bring some other units into this warband. So what else can we bring to a Daughters of Khaine warband, and what exactly do they do? For starters, the only other hero variant that we have available to us is the Melusi Iron Scale. So this is a 32 wound character leader that we can have for our warband. So not as many wounds as the Bloodrat Medusa here, but he has got a lot more offensive potential. So he's got 2 attacks with his ranged weapon for 3/6 and then 2/4 in combat as well. So he's got a lot more utility. He can do ranged and combat. Plus he's also got some really cool abilities as well that he can make use of. Very much like the rest of the snakes we have in our force. And we'll get on to abilities next. The other units we can bring along is we can take Doomfire Warlocks. What's great about Warlocks, for starters, is 80 wounds apiece, nothing to shirk about. I mean, it's pretty good, but movement 10 is really nice. They've also got ranged and some combat potential with 1/3 and, you know, only a strength of 3 or 2 or 3 attacks across their profile, but they're pretty decent and they're pretty cheap for a decent move unit. They've also got some really cool different things they can do with some of the abilities. Lastly, we have the Canare, which are 12-inch movement units, either Life Taker or Heart Renders. We've got 2 different variants we can bring. 10 wounds apiece is perhaps a little bit frail, but defensive 4 is nice, and 1/4 on both of their damage. Some of them have a lot longer range with some of their weapons. The Heart Renders have a nice 8-inch range, so they can come and sort of skirt around the edges of the fight. They both got, once again, some really cool abilities, but this is pretty much the lot for what we can take with Daughters of Khaine in our warband. So I think you've got some decent options with Daughters of Khaine. You've got some cavalry, some flying units. You've got some, I guess, heavy hitters, and you've got a nice little bit of troop there as well. You could always bring some Witch Elves or some Sisters of Slaughter as well. They're rather cheap. Now, Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter come in a bunch of different varieties. First of all, the Witch Elves can either be armed with a pair of dual sacrificial knives. This gives them more attacks, but does lower their defensive ability. And then you can have them with one sacrificial knife, which loses them an attack, but gains you a toughness on them. Both of these are pretty cool. At 65 and 75 points a model, they really come into their own as nice, cheap units. Sister of Slaughter can either be armed with a barbed whip and sacrificial knife, or a barbed whip and bladed buckler. The same sort of variances here apply as for the Witch Elves. You got one more defensive, one more offensive option. The 75 and 85 renown, or points, whatever you want to call it, they are really cheap as well and a nice other option. These are really great units to bring into your forces. A lot of your other stuff is going to be well over the 100 point mark, really. So you're going to have a lot to play with if you just call it maybe if you're trying to get those few extra bodies into your list, this is a great way to do it with these particular units. So let's get looking at those abilities we've talked about a little bit before. To start with, we'll look at the fighter abilities. So we've got a double bathe in blood. This is available to be used by any Daughters of Khaine unit. A fighter can use this ability if they're within 3 inches of a visible enemy fighter with one or more damage points allocated to them. Until that fighter's activation, add one to the strength and attacks characteristic of attack actions made by that fighter. So it sort of means if, they're near something that's got a wound, they're going to do a bit more damage. So they sort of, they smell blood, very shark-like almost, I guess. You got double turn to crystal. This is available to be used by our blood sisters, the ones with their crystal touch. And it pretty much does some extra damage on a particular roll, which is nice. Triple is Heart Seekers. This is available to be used by our Bloodstalkers, and this is pretty much the same sort of thing as the previous Turn to Crystal, but a ranged variation of it, allowing them to sort of do some damage based on the value of the triple that we have. We then have Slaughter Strength, another one available to be used by all Daughters of Khaine models. Until the end of the fighter's activation, you add the value of its ability to the strength characteristic of attacks made with a range of 3 or less. So, while the other one is giving you attacks and strength, you're required to be a little bit damaged. The triple is just giving you extra strength, which is really, really nice. Triple Doomfire Bolt, once again, just some ability to do damage with our abilities, which is really nice. Daughters of Khaine in general do this a lot. With a ton of their abilities, just allow you to put damage out with abilities, enabling you to sort of just get in. What's cool about a lot of these abilities is you can use them to maybe try and get off Bathe in Blood, so allowing you to later in game sort of get off more attacks and sort of finish your opponent off with, I guess, lesser units that might otherwise not do it. And lastly, a quad Death on the Winds. This can be used by our Life Takers, the Canary Life Takers. This fighter makes a bonus move action, then they can make a bonus attack action. In addition, add one to the strength characteristic of the attack action if the fighter finishes the move within 6 inches or more of their starting position. So it enables you to sort of get a charge ability off, which is really nice. Once again, just allowing you to do free attacks and just put out more damage than you otherwise might be able to. Now we've got our leader abilities. First of all, Witch Brew. This is available to the Hag Queen. You can pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inches of the witch, and until the end of the battle round, add the value of this ability to the strength characteristic. So this could be really powerful, because it's doing it until the end of the battle round. So this means you can pick other things and do a whole bunch of other abilities, allowing you to activate. This works with like your command ability and all that, enabling other fighters to fight. Pretty nice. Then got triple for Sacrifice to Khaine. So this one here can be used by pretty much any of our heroes. So a fighter can use the ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack action made by them in this activation. Until the end of the battle round, add one to the attack characteristic of attack actions that have a range of 3 or less made by visible enemy fighters while they're within 6 inches of this fighter. So pretty much your leader kills something, makes a sacrifice and offering to Khaine of them, and allows your other fighters nearby your leader to sort of go well and get some power from it. Bloodrack Stare, once again, just another ability that's allowing us to do ranged damage while we're doing other things. Like our abilities just allow us to do so much damage with Daughters of Khaine. It's really cool. Orgy of Slaughter is the last one, and this just allows you to get a bunch of extra damage. So you add, until the end of the battle round, add half the value of this ability to the damage points allocated to enemy fighters by each critical and normal hit for attack actions that have a range of 3 or less, made by friendly fighters while within 8 inch of this fighter. So this one is just nice. This one just turns all your Daughters of Khaine on full war. For me, I think some of the best ones here are the ones that allow us to do lots of spot damage across the army and then combine them with the ability to use Bathe in Blood to pump up some Witch Elves. So I think really with the army, you're going to be wanting to get a lot of the ones that can do all the different damage variations of abilities, do them first, and then use, I guess, your lighter troops to mop up with Bathe in Blood as they get better from that. And so here we have a starter force. So this comes to a perfect 1000 renown. I've gone with the Slaughter Queen. Now the reason I've chosen this, I normally don't like, I guess, taking heroes that rely on quad abilities to really get their best thing off, but Orgy of Slaughter is so good, I think it's worth it. Also, the fact we've also got Sacrifice to Khaine as an ability really gives us some other options to play with. I think with the Slaughter Queen, so she has like another ability available to her in case we're not getting that quad. But I think the quad in this case is just so good, it does a lot for the force. So we've also got, as mentioned, just a few Witch Elves with sacrificial knives. I think the more attacks is better for the Witch Elves in general, because we're trying to get Bathe in Blood off on them really. I've got one Blood Sister for that little bit of a heavier, I guess, fighter. This fighter is going to be able to go into other things that our Witch Elves, even with all their buffs, are not going to be able to take out. They've got 2 Bloodstalkers and a Doomfire Warlock, and what they're going to do is they're going to see out our force, and they're going to be using their abilities to get some splash damage across our opponent's force to allow us to use Bathe in Blood to the greatest effect for the whole little force here. I think we've got a good spread of models, we've got a good number of models on the table as well, while remaining and getting a few of the bigger models. So we've got 3 decent sized models, plus a hero, and then a cavalry model, and 3 little, I guess, grunts, if you will. I think we've got a good spread of models. I'd love to know, though, what you're using for Daughters of Khaine, not the Khainite Shadowstalkers, just the regular Daughters of Khaine. How's it going for you? What are you using? What's your warband composition? Let us know in the comments below. Well, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also drop us a comment down below. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by coming and joining our Discord server, which you'll find a link to in the video's description. Also, while you're on YouTube, go check out my featured channel section where there's a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators doing everything from battle reports, painting videos, lore videos, gaming videos, and tactic videos, and more besides that as well. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. It means the absolute world to us. Thank you to our patrons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, and Cure Dynamic. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Firetine, and Steve T. Thank you all for supporting the channel. It means the world. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. And most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.